Good morning. It's Friday, February the 7th, and this is The Drill. Thank you. I'm Ron, your host and the only true conservative in the United States today. Unlike those who pretend to know socialism, I actually do know socialism because I grew up in a socialist household. My podcast is short, approximately 5 to 10 minutes long, because shorter podcasts are easier to download and listen to. My podcast is made possible by Spreaker and can be heard on iTunes, Spotify, Google, and YouTube. Today, majority rule versus minority rule. Hugh Hewitt is still engaged in handicapping. Conservatives must avoid defending the indefensible, and power and control in a socialist household. All that when I come back. Thank you very much. Welcome back. Everyone's heard the slogan, majority rule and minority rights. Well, that's wrong. When Ayn Rand said that there is no such thing as group rights, she erred. She failed to communicate. What she meant to say is that there's no such thing as separate rights. Every individual has the same God-given rights. And that means that there is no such thing as minority rights, because there is no separation of the rights of the minority versus the rights of the majority. They're the same. As far as majority rule is concerned, the minority will rule if the majority allows it to happen. This is what we see today. Various minorities ruling under the guise of exercising their rights, and the majorities being bullied and intimidated in allowing that to happen. When I come back, Hugh Hewitt continues to air. Thank you. What does Mr. Hewitt think that the Democrat Party should do? Who should they nominate and why? These are the questions that Mr. Hewitt should be answering. Mr. Hewitt instead treats the nomination process like a horse race and handicaps the participants. This is wrong and foolish. Handicapping involves predicting the future. Even if the prediction comes true, the result fails to prove that the prognosticator was prescient or even intelligent. Perhaps the successful prediction was merely a matter of luck. When I come back, don't be tricked by the left. Thank you very much. Don't let the left trick you with a false dichotomy. Law enforcement versus justice, for instance, in which the left goes ahead and picks justice and the right thinks that they have to stick with law enforcement. You must think your way through problems, or you will find yourself in a position of defending the indefensible. Some so-called conservatives have justified police brutality by saying that the victim deserved it because the victim, quote, failed to obey lawful orders, unquote. Excuse me, but there's no such thing as the death penalty for disobeying lawful police orders. One cannot be forced to forfeit life or property without due process of law. Conservatives make the presumption for the status quo, and that means in this case that we are all subordinate to the law. There are no super citizens. Up next, power plays in the household. Thank you very much. Growing up in a socialist household sucked. Not only did we children have to put up with gratuitous hatred, but we also had to put up with gratuitous violence as well. My foster parents felt free to treat the children violently because our foster parents treated the family like it was a socialist regime. Zero tolerance for dissent. For instance, the family was watching a professional tennis match on television, a match between Rod Laver and Jimmy Connors. Our foster mother sided with Rod Laver. a European, and the rest of the family followed suit. I was the only exception. I rooted for Jimmy Connors, an American. When Jimmy Connors won the match, there was hell to pay, because I had failed to march in lockstep with the rest of the family. My defiance was therefore a threat to the regime, and I was therefore evil and deserved to be severely punished for my villainy. In any normal household, the family would not have been treated like a communist dictatorship, and I would have been encouraged to assert my individuality. Back in a minute. Thank you. In conclusion, there are no minority rights. Hugh Hewitt doesn't learn, don't be tricked by the left, and growing up red. Who is the true conservative? He's the person that understands that conservatism is not just about politics, but culture as well. He is not selfish, but minds his own business. He acts like an adult. He is patriotic and uses common sense. He expresses what he knows and does so with certainty. He makes judgments, refuses to speculate, speaks clearly and definitively, and is not afraid to say no. He is open-minded, asking why rather than why not. He is consistent, credible, and influential, not ashamed of his existence, unafraid to learn or correct his mistakes. He is a normal American, and he is better than the socialist. He's a better friend, father, brother, family member, and a better person, period. You have to know that. If you don't know with every fiber of your being that being a true conservative is best, then you're wasting your time. That brings me to the end of another episode of The Drill. Remember that the left has no authority, no power, and they can't win. Think about it.